You know what's interesting about this trade is this, that you give up Stefon Diggs, you give up a couple draft picks, but you only receive if you're Buffalo one in return. Were you surprised that no bodies came along with that or another player, or does this indicate something a little bit different in regards to Buffalo saying, it was just time to move on?
I wasn't very surprised, Jimmy, for this reason. I do believe Buffalo is trying to shed some salary cap numbers, trying to get younger in what they're doing. And the draft picks that you get back, you can utilize them and build a younger team and a quote-unquote cheaper team. Now, as soon as I say cheaper, people are like, oh, does that mean they're just trying to – no. Meaning your salary cap isn't taken up by your bigger numbers, because in Buffalo, the salary cap is taken up by who? Josh Allen. Has to be. He's your quarterback. He's going to get that type of number. How can you fashion a team around him with his contract to compete at the highest level, a la Kansas City? Right? Mahomes getting the big money, but it's a flexible contract, and they always seem to find the money to get the players that they need to continue to compete. Yep. That's what Buffalo's trying to do as well. Brandon Beane's one of the best GMs out there. So he's figuring this thing out. He knows where he wants to go. All the talk for the last few years about is Stefon Diggs happy or not happy, I think it got confirmed by the trade. We know he wasn't super happy, and Buffalo's ready to try it again. But you're building around Josh Allen, and maybe you don't have the greatest receivers in the world. Didn't we say that about Kansas City the last 2 years?
We did.
Made it work.
Yep.
And they built a defense that could play. Not play with a 14-point lead, but a defense that could shut people down. They've won the last 2 Super Bowls. I think Buffalo's going to work somewhat in that vein, because right now their top receivers, either Khalil Shakir or recently they got Curtis Samuel. Guess what? They don't have a receiver on the roster that's ever had a 1,000-yard season. It sounds a lot like what Kansas City's dealt with the last 2 years. They found a way. Josh Allen, here's your opportunity, and I think that he'll seize it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because you're part of the NFL Network's draft coverage coming up this year. So from a receiving, we have your mock draft on here, and at 28, you have – who you have right here? I'm trying to look at.
Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU.
Exactly. So is this something you already knew? Huh?
No,
Charles, I know you're insightful. I know down at Tennessee, that great education. But the timing and everything, you got it right there. Brian Thomas Jr., you talked about receiver finding somebody. This trade happens at 28. Here it is. Is this what you're talking about as far as building up in that receiving core, spending money, getting through the draft?
Well, Double J, if I were that smart, you and I would be having a conversation somewhere else on some island somewhere.
See, there you go. There you go.
If I was that smart. No, listen, even before the trade with Stefon Diggs, before trading him out of there, wide receiver was a priority for Buffalo, because remember, Gabe Davis is no longer there.
Right.
He ended up going to Jacksonville. They've been trying to replace Cole Beasley's productivity. His last full season there, his best year, he was second-team All-Pro from the slot. So they've been trying to recreate that. And I've put Brian Thomas there because a second receiver to go with Diggs at that time was what you were looking for if you were Buffalo. And you're trying to find a guy who can handle the Buffalo winter and be productive in November, December, January. Big frame kid, plenty of room to grow, can go to the next level. Because remember, he was wide receiver 2 at LSU behind Malik Neighbors, who will probably go in the top 10 picks of the draft. So that's why I had him going. Can that still stick? Of course it can. But by the time Buffalo gets there, if there's a run on receivers, don't be surprised, Jimmy, if they pivot off of a receiver, if they don't get a guy that they think can be wide receiver 1, meaning take over, be the dominant guy from the beginning. If they get there and all those receivers are gone, they can pivot and go to the defensive side of the ball. They need help in the secondary. Go get a corner like Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama and keep building from there. Sean McDermott, by the way, where did he make his bones? Defensive
coordinator, right.
And he's running his own defense now. They can get that shutdown defense and can continue that. That'll help Josh Allen, that offense, while they have a chance to grow.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.